What's up, guys? Welcome to the another episode of Prime Inc. 101. Today's objective is to share with you guys the 5 transportation division of Prime Inc. or 4 or 5 or 4. We'll just go with 4 for now, and I'll explain what the 5 is. But we'll be talking about 4 transportation division of Prime Inc. while I try to get some workout with this bad boy right here. So, and we're gonna have to work out inside the truck because it just rained outside. So, yeah, wish me luck. So, I'm gonna go change and I'll be right back. All right, guys. So, I'm finally all set and I'm gonna work out and talk to you guys about Prime's 4 divisions because I think we said we're gonna stick with 4. So, let's just jump right into it. The first one we have is Reefer Division. Reefer Division is basically what Prime kind of known for, because Prime fleet, if you look at Prime as a whole, the majority of the transportation wise is kind of made off of refrigerated units, trailers. So it's one of our biggest division, and that's probably most driver kind of go, right? Now, from what I was told, Prime is one of the biggest refrigerated company, right, in the United States because of how much business we do with the reefer, right? So that's that. And some of the biggest, one of the biggest customer that we have is Tyson Food, so Walmart, and there are a few other bigger company which I can't really think of it, but because I'm not in that division yet, but just understand that Prime does a lot of business in that refrigerated side of things, okay? Now, in terms of pay, right, the company driver, you have company driver, company team driver, and you have independent contractor. I'm not going to go in detail. I'll do that later down the road, but basically company driver, they get paid CPM, cent per mile, right? Same thing with company team drivers as well, but they split. And there's just a whole thing that works differently with them because they get this thing called bonus mileage, right? And then in terms of independent contractor, they get about 72% of the total revenue, okay? So that's that. Now, you have probably seen Prime refrigerated trailer because we have, in terms of number, we have those the most. And also, on the road, if you see a long trailer with just like a refrigerated unit on the front, that's what we call it reefer. That's what it is. Okay. In terms of choosing whether you want to go reefer or not, it really depends on how much work you want to put in. A lot of drivers want to do that because majority of the time you are not getting out of your truck. For example, you go into the customer, you check in, you bring your paperwork inside, and then after you're done, you just go back into your truck, back into the door. Sometimes open the door, sometimes you don't have to open the door because they do it from the inside, right? But majority of the time, if I have to compare that with Intermodal, with tanker and flatbed, reefer is the least amount of I don't want to call it exercise, but least amount of movement you're doing. So that's why a lot of drivers also like that. So they just go because they don't want to deal with that. Now, one thing that reefer driver have to kind of keep in mind is the lumper pay, right? Lumper pay is basically you go to a customer, and that customer is going to charge you to unload your stuff. All right. I don't know how that whole system makes sense or not, but that's what it is. You go there, and they're gonna give you a door, but before even you do that, you have to go take care of. Or after you do that, you gotta go take care of the lumper fee. You gotta pay. Sometimes I know some of them uses like app, but some of them I think it's like strictly check, right? I think data. We have a data card, but they also a lot of time you have to get a number, check number from the company, and you just go to them and you give them that check number, and then they will unload you. It's a whole other things that I don't even want to get in, but basically you got to pay the fee to get your stuff delivered or unloaded, right? So that's that. Would I recommend going into reefer? Well, I myself did about 35,000 miles on the road with the trainer, and the way I see it is like, when I was going through that process, I kind of wanted to kind of this, think about my health and my body, and also like, not get into that habit of just, sitting all day and just not doing anything. So my mindset was like, okay, you know what? I want to get into a division that's gonna make me kind of move, even though not every day, but once in a while. You know what I mean? Or let's say when I'm delivering, I want to be able to move and kind of like stretch and do that. So, so that's one of the reasons why I didn't go to reefer. But like I said, there are a lot of people who like that and they go there, and I'm not judging them or anything like that. You do what you want to do, simple as that, right? Now, I will say that in terms of pay wise, and I'll cover this down the road, but in terms of pay wise, all the division have kind of their own kind of line of pay, right? There isn't like a one division that makes the most, than the other. Like, it's not really like that. The way they kind of do is they kind of, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but they kind of average us out, if that makes sense. So hopefully I won't get in trouble, but I mean, that's what I have figured out talking to other drivers and whatnot. So that's that. So that's reefer pretty much. One of the headache with reefer, I would say, is that you have to constantly kind of be aware of what your reefer temperature is set at and what type of setting it's on, right? Now let's talk about flatbed. Flatbed is basically, if you want to get that job that's going to make you like run, sweat, I mean, not run, but sweat, I mean, you want to like get sweaty and like have that workout, because you're constantly tightening up the load and all that stuff. That's the division for you. Okay, like I said, money wise, they all trying to average us out, so I wouldn't just go to flatbed because of money. Okay, but I will say that recently, and this is definitely one of the conversations you want to have with your dispatcher. Recently they changed the requirement of like whether you can run solo or not. They may have changed by now, so this is why, like I say, you want to talk to your recruiter about this. But recently they said that flatbed is not accepting any solo independent contractor. They were only accepting team independent contractor. Okay, and in terms of company driver too, again, you want to check in with them. So I'm not able to give you all of the information right now because Prime always change, man. Like, they always change their policy. The one thing about flatbed is that a lot of the guys that do, they kind of stick with it, and it's kind of that, I think it's kind of that mentality. When you get going, you just keep doing it, and a lot of guys, like I said, they seem to like it and they continue it. I myself wouldn't, because like I said, I want to move and work out and all that, but my biggest fear is like load itself. I'm the guy, like, I want to go down the road, I want to be assured like that my load is not gonna shift or get loose and all that. So I kind of have this, not OCD, but maybe it's my biggest fear is that me going down the road and all of a sudden one of my strap is loose and the load comes out of the trailer. I mean, so that's why I didn't even think about flatbed at all. Okay. In terms of pay, reefer, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier or not, but reefer the independent contractor get about 72% of the whole total revenue, right? So Prime pays you, let's say it's $100, right, for the load. Just an example, $100. Prime takes about 28% of that, and then gives the driver about 72% of that. Now, once you do the load and once you run it, you're gonna have expenses such as like toll. One thing that a lot of people like about flatbed, in fact, one of my friend, we kind of came in the same time frame during training, and he went the flatbed route, and me and my buddy, we went the tanker route, and we were almost talking every day, and I kind of know how flatbed kind of operates and how busy they get. So when we were checking every day, we would, like I said, we had a good group chat and we always talked. So he would get load after load after load after load. He barely sat down. I mean, in terms of detention, I mean, he didn't even collected one detention, because they just had him move, and every customer he went, He would pull in. They would, they will have him pull in inside their facility or sometime in a workplace, and they would literally just take the stuff out of him and let him go. That wasn't really a wait time, which is kind of different compared to reefer, because reefer sometimes get detention, but it's not as often as the other division, which I'm going to mention later on, right? So if you really think about it in terms of speed, in terms of how fast you can move from customer to customer, flatbed is better, right? And given what kind of runner you are, whether you're the type of person like who's just gonna get up, go, and run, or whether you're the type where you like to take your time. So just keep that in mind. Now, flatbed customers are basically, you'll be dealing with a lot of construction materials, right? Boats, and I have seen people like sometimes onions and stuff like that, right? So if you are into that and you don't mind, going to construction areas and stuff like that, I mean, that's for you. One thing you should keep in mind is that as a new driver, you might have some issue backing in, because I remember my friend, he was kind of going through this tight spot, to deliver stuff. So that's one thing that you need to keep in mind. Reefer, you most likely going to have a kind of a dock to back into, whereas flatbed and tanker, you kind of go wherever they tell you to go, pretty much. Now, tanker will have like a area where you have to back in and you have to mount your hose to get the product from the trailer to into the customer tank. But I would say out of all four division, I would say flatbeds are the one that they need to go wherever you're told, pretty much. And that kind of sucks, given like what kind of confidence you have. I mean, you will get to the point where you're not even going to think about it, right? In terms of tanker division, which I am in, I've been with Prime over 2 years. I started June of 2023. I ran solo from then, right? And I did it tanker division for about still, I would say, June 2023 to November 2023. Then I switched division into intermodal, right? And then I did it intermodal till April 2024, and then I came back to tanker, and since then I've been running in tanker division, right? So the reason why I chose tanker division is because it kind of had that balance, like you do have to worry about your loads, but not like to the point where it might fall off the trailer, right? You don't have to worry about that. Also, you do run miles, but not as much as flatbed or reefer, right? You do run though. And one thing I really like about tanker division was, by the time you run all those miles, you're kind of averaging up to the same as the reefer or flatbed, right? And one of the biggest opportunities that you have is detention and layover. I mean, it's one of my favorite things in tanker division, right? Because what happens is a lot of time we get to the customer and they don't have a room, right? Because whoever ordered, or like a lot of our customer basically are like production companies, right? Like factories, and they're making, whether it's a bakery or whether it's like a full big on, production company, right? Like they make like snacks, chocolate and all that. Some of the big customer for tanker divisions are like Hershey, General Mills, this big company who are kind of involved in snack making. I've been in a lot of customers where they make candy, popcorn, frozen pizza, sauce, mayonnaise, all those things, right? And those are the customer that tanker division kind of deals with. Now, in terms of tanker, I would say one of the pain in the, is basically every time you get unloaded, right? You have to take that tanker to the nearest, or you're going to be told where to go, tank wash, and you either have to drop that trailer and get a clean one to go to your next customer, or you're going to be told to take that trailer and get it washed there and then take that clean one to the next customer. So again, sometimes it's easy, you just go drop the dirty one, pick a new one and go. Sometimes you just have to sit there, have them wash it, and that's a whole headache that you have to deal with. But like I said, I don't mind doing it, and I've been doing it for a while now. So but that's something that you need to keep in mind, okay? Overall though, Tanker is always been my favorite, and it's always will be. Like it has all the kind of balance. I am able to sometimes take 34-hour reset. Sometimes that we get too busy and we just run. And every time I kind of run my 70-hour clock, I'm usually able to make like a good paycheck. So, and when I'm not, I'm usually taking 34-hour reset, and it's still kind of averaging out. All right. In terms of how much and all that, I'm gonna make an episode on that, and so just make sure to check that out. Okay. But anytime in tanker division you run your 70 clock, you're making good money. That's gonna be one of your best week. Anytime you're not, you're gonna average out. So that's that. So now let's talk about intermodal. Right. I was in Prime's intermodal division from like November 2023 to April 2024, and I basically was kind of like a local in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And what we did was basically we would go into the rail yard, grab a loaded trailer, right? And we would just take that to our customer and bring back the empty. And the way the intermodal works is it's basically like this, right? You have this company that make stuff, right? And some of the items that we would carry was like mayonnaise, chocolate, pasta, or kind of like those temperature sensitive kind of thing. But we would basically go to the company, like out some of the company we would like cold storage in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. We would go to a lot of Hershey's facilities, right? And for Hershey has a whole bunch of them in Pennsylvania, right? So and I believe we also would take some of the load to Maryland as well, Baltimore, Baltimore as outside of Baltimore. The way it works is basically you have a factory that makes something, right? And they're gonna put it in Prime's trailer, and then that trailer is like we bring that trailer into the rail yard, and the rail yard basically use their crane to take just the trailer, not the chassis, and put it on their train and take it to the next city. And the next Prime driver, that in that city is gonna do the same thing. Now the whole setup is basically you have your tractor, you have a chassis that is leased from the rail yard, and then you have the Prime box, right? But it's a trailer with it's basically a reefer trailer without the chassis, without the underneath, right? I really like doing it because I was able to get home every day, but I would work like 6 days and I get just 1 day off. And the reason why I chose to kind of give that up and come back to tanker was because I wasn't making money like I do on the road, over the road, OTR. At the beginning, it was going really great. I was making like over $2,000 per week, and everything was like nice. And the way they pay you is basically they have a company driver that just works completely different, but the way that they pay the independent contractor, which I was, right? I was leasing a tractor from Success Leasing, and then I would run that and I would pay weekly, and I paid about 900 and some change, right? So they basically made me, they would give me a load, but it wasn't like forced on me. Like that wasn't sets of like a number you have to, but every load that I did, like it was planned a day ahead. So at the end of the day, I would get a list of load that I need to do, a list of container that I need to take from the rail yard to our customer, right? And there was no like exact time frame. I mean, there are a few loads that are like time sensitive and appointment wise, but beside that, I mean, you as long as you get it done that day, you're fine, right? So you will basically get a schedule, right, with how many loads you're gonna do, and then after that, and also like which rail yard you're gonna go as well, right? And the way the pay works is basically for an independent contractor, you will be given a flat rate. So I'll give you an example. Any load I took it from Harrisburg to Hazleton, Pennsylvania, U.S. storage, cold storage in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, we were paid about $250. And again, this was 2023, end of 2023. But what happened was they changed the rate, right? And I believe I lost about $50 or $100 per load. And mind you, it's about 83 miles, 80 to 90 miles from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to Hazleton, Pennsylvania, right? One way. Now do the math, and we're talking about over 170 miles, And so the way it kind of worked was like, 250. I mean, it was decent, but then they changed it. And what happened was, because I was kind of the new guy, I was doing majority of those load, you know, and what happened was when they changed the rate, I lost a lot of revenue because I was probably one of the guys that was doing the most of it. And once they changed it, I lost a lot of it. Now there are intermodal driver that they're making decent money because, like I said, you kind of get a customer that you usually go to. And again, I'm not accusing nobody, and I'm in a good standing with my intermodal dispatcher as well. And someday I would love to go back, but there are certain things that I would do before I go back. The way I felt was because I was the new guys, I was given the load that was undesirable. You know what I mean? So they would had me run all night. I would start off around like 5 or 6 p.m. and I would be working till like 8 a.m. And I would do majority of those load was just going to Hazleton like 2-3 times, from Harrisburg to Hazleton at night. And as a lot of you know, Pennsylvania Mountain is not forgiving, and especially if you're doing that at night, it's not fun because you don't really get to see outside. And so it wasn't really fun. Or let's just say not like 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. and then you sleep all day and you work for 6 days. And that's another thing. I wouldn't also do 6 days because that's too much, right? You also need to have social life. I mean, my girlfriend was in the same city, and I couldn't even see her a lot of times because I was just too tired. I would just go to sleep, wake up, do it. And you see the whole picture, right? The hopper division is basically you are dealing with grains, right? And the way I would put it is like, as of right now, the hopper division is kind of mingled with tanker division because a lot of the product and a lot of the trailer that is being hauled in a hopper trailer is strictly tanker drivers. Okay, in terms of pay and everything, the Prime is still figuring that out. Because obviously you need to build your customer out first, and then kind of deal with that logistic. So it's not established yet, but I would say that Prime kind of is expanding in a way that they want to have their foot into hopper division as well, and they have bought a lot of trailers and everything like that. So my assumption is that it's gonna happen, and it's already happening. They're building it. They just introduced this last year, and from just that time frame, they have hired tanker drivers, so they do both, to just kind of like maintain that revenue because hopper division is not it by itself yet, so they don't have enough customer yet. So the hopper drivers are kind of the tanker driver too. Okay, so I would say that hopper division is going to be a very interesting one because it's kind of like a regional, and I believe it can also be localized too. So that's going to provide like an opportunity for a lot of folks who want to be kind of around the house and who kind of like that division. In terms of can you really make money or not, I think it's too early to say. So I would kind of look out for that. But as of right now, if you're coming to Prime, don't even think about it because I feel like there are other drivers that are in line to get into it. At the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do, but ask yourself, are you going to be happy in that division? Are you going to be sustainable, right? Because you got to pay your bill, you got to save money, you have your dreams, you have your purpose, right? Hopefully. But those are the questions you need to be asking. Before you apply, or even if you're thinking about Prime, start asking like, what division would you really want to be in? And like I explained in this whole video, every division has its own pros and cons. And you just have to be comfortable with cons, right? And if you can do that, then guess what? You will find your place in Prime Inc. divisions. So that is your 5 divisions, or Prime like to call it transportation divisions in Prime Inc. I hope this video was helpful. And if you find any kind of value in this video, please give me a like. Leave me a comment on what you learned today, if you learned something different. And I'll see you guys in next video. Thank you so much. Have a good day.